Yeah, what
So
do I
we're
know?
here today with Lorin Roche, Ph.D. He is the author of Radiant Sutras, a book that I adore and love. You can see a little up close of this book. It has it has been such a gift these last 4 or 5 years since I come to know this whole path of Vijnana Bhairava Tantra. Lorin Roche transcribed Vijnana Bhairava Tantra many years ago. And this has been his life's work, passion. There's many other books that have come through him and his wife, Camille Maureen. And he has so graciously said yes to being the very first interview here on centeredinbliss.com, my brand new website. And how appropriate, because many years ago, I went to the School of Meditation with Lauren and Camille, where they were teaching the Radiant Sutras and the dynamic approach that is instinctive meditation. So as I was contemplating launching centeredinbliss.com and wanting to put myself out there, a lot of fear came up. I was feeling it. I was feeling the fear. And so I just had this impetus, this heart call to reach out to Lorin and just ask for his wisdom. You know, he's been in this field for years, a meditation teacher, coach, guru, if you will, in that regard of just teaching people the ways, the ins and outs of meditation. And so I thought maybe he knows something I don't know. And lo and behold,
Now,
it's true.
now we were talking about the fear of putting oneself out there
Yes.
and speaking one's truth. And I said something, and you instantly got it. Can you remember
I
what you
can.
got and how because um you said something to me yesterday, like you transmitted back to me this enlightenment that you got, this awakening that you got.
So this phone call we had, it was very brief, but very powerful and impactful. And the gold that I literally, it felt like you gave me gold during this conversation. And I was telling you about the fear that I was having. And you said, it's a gift. Fear is a gift. And not only is it a gift, it's a gift of Shakti. And something just landed.
Mm-hmm.
And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, this is so amazing. I bet you a lot of people don't know about this, how fear can be a gift. And that's why I brought you on. I wanted the world to know, but before just a few days ago, I mean, I guess maybe I was just ready to hear it, ripe and ready to have that come into my being in such a deep way that I mean, I haven't been the same since. I have been lit. I have been inspired. I have been doing things with the website, and fear is not stopping me like it was. I was literally feeling like
Mm-hmm.
paralyzed by fear and couldn't move
Yeah,
forward. So
yeah,
if you want to elaborate on
yeah.
this thing called the gift of Shakti.
Well, the short take is that a lot of our meditation time is spent just feeling the fear. And on one level, it feels like washing the fear out of our body and transmuting it into excitement that we can use for life. And this I've learned from Tantra Yoga, which is the yoga is actually always about power, the magic power of life. There's this word prana, Shakti, and both prana and Shakti mean power, where prana is, among other things, the power of breath and the power of the life force and the metabolic, the way that we're continually absorbing nutrition that ultimately comes from the sun, and even before that, from the pulsation of the universe. So we're always metabolizing the power of the sun and then converting it into our bodies and into something, into work and play and love. We're converting the power of the sun into our to-do list. And bodies are always tracking where's my friends, where's home, or can I rest? What's my next adventure? What do I want to do? What path do I want to follow? And what are the obstacles? And how do I have to gear up to meet those obstacles? And you're doing this podcast is very similar to where if it was 200,000 years ago and we're like sitting around the fire in the morning and saying, well, I want to start a farm over there in that meadow where there's like water and good soil, but I know that there's bears on the way. If I'm walking over there, like bears and things hunting me. So our bodies are always aware of like where's food and where are there dangers. And when we're meditating, we're giving permission to our whole body wisdom to track all this. And what bodies always want to do is have just the right amount of electricity, of the right tone for each item on our to-do list. This is what bodies are always doing in their instinctive wisdom. And meditation, yoga, all these practices are always giving the body a chance to go right into the fear and transmute it into excitement that we can use to live. And it's right, this is like the center of all yoga meditation practices. We can even define meditation as savoring the thrill of aliveness. Now that's a wild way to think about it, because usually we think about meditation as calming down and maybe even stopping movement. And that might be true in certain circumstances. However, for people who live in the world and are busy, it's better to think of meditation as a time of giving ourselves complete freedom, freedom to move, freedom to feel, freedom to savor the flow of electricity in our bodies, and then let it line itself up to support whatever it is that we're doing. And this is what you just experienced, that you took what I said and you actually meditated, even if it was only for 1 second or 10 seconds or a couple minutes. You took it and you meditated with it. And what I had said to you is actually much of it's actually the essence of what the Radiant Sutras is about, which is wherever we are, whether we're laughing or crying or safe or afraid, angry, peaceful, we just dive right into that form of life electricity and tune it. So another way of thinking about meditation, besides savoring the thrill of aliveness, is to dive in and listen to the hum, listen to the music of our nerves, the electricity flowing in our bodies, and tune the music for the symphony that we want to play. In a sense, another way of looking at it is that in meditation, we're going in and letting the genius of life provide the right soundtrack for the movie that we're living. The hum of mantras, the hum of a life force to support us. Because the life force always wants us to thrive. Always. Life, the power of life, is always repairing us everywhere, especially when we rest. And meditation is one of the ways in which we rest. And so the life force is always tuning us up for whatever we need for our next step. And we're here to let the music of life flow, each of us in our own way, whether it's teaching kindergarten or growing vegetables, great vegetables, or making music or writing just creating a beautiful home, being with animals. It's our daily to-do list is our gift to this world. And life always wants us to give our lift, gives our gift. I said give our lift. Life always is wanting to uplift us and support us in giving our gift.
That's beautiful. And as we contemplate how fear can be a gift and a gift of Shakti, what I notice one of the revelations or realizations with that is how much in my past, and dare I say, maybe millions of people doing this all over the world, how we tend to make fear an enemy. And what I notice with this shift and
Yeah,
perspective, this new lens of seeing fear in a completely different way, I'm no longer making fear an enemy. I'm actually
yeah.
making an ally.
So you're a fast learner. So there's something that you did there of turning on a dime, of getting it, and that's something for you to notice. That's a gift that you have to give, like that you can get this and like turn on the dime, sort of get it, and oh, that's a missing piece, and everything's different. Um, in this tradition, by the way, women are famous for that. Around 1,000 years ago in Tibet, with the teacher Padmasambhava, and in Kashmir, this genius Abhinavagupta, it's they both said it's in the scriptures that women are better at this. It got it edited out, I think, of the Radiant Sutras. I don't know how. Um, it's sort of an arcane quote that in a woman's body there there is this phenomenon that we've all noticed, that a woman will just like get it and translate it all the way through. So what you just did, by the way, is something that I want you to like own, and then over to cherish this ability to get it and change, and in the future teach that.
What this video is for. This is to support the avenue and the approach of like, wow, this is a game changer where I'm no longer making fear
Game
an
changer.
enemy.
Yeah,
And so
yeah,
if
that,
people, the invitation to those who are ready, willing, and just have enough openness to see, oh my goodness, I do not have to be afraid of fear. I don't have to let
yeah,
fear stop me. I can see fear differently. It's actually a gift and not a curse.
yeah. So
So
if we think of meditation, let's play with several different language systems. So in Sanskrit, the prana shakti, we could say it's the life force. And it's both just what we're continuously metabolizing, the breath as it enters and becomes part of our bodies. The air that we breathe within seconds actually becomes part of our cells, and we burn it. Breath is our food and fuel. And we breathe about 20 to 22 or 23,000 times a day. It's actually, we breathe a lot. It's continuous rivers flowing in the body and alchemical transmutation. And we breathe so much because it's feeding the fires of life. We're turning the oxygen and the food that we eat into heat and actually fuel. We have trillions of little tiny fires. Each cell is like a little engine. And so we're continually transmuting cosmic energy coming from the sun and as absorbed by the oceans and forests of the world. We're continually transmuting this cosmic energy and then the total ecology of the earth into our joy of living. So we can also think in scientific terms, like ecological, that meditation is allowing our attention to be centered in the dynamic electrical chemical flow of the life force, which is genius. And we can think in sort of more English common sense terms as the life force, the power of the life force. So if we think of meditation as allowing ourselves to be attracted to be to what we love about the pulsation and rhythm and the dynamic intelligence of the life force, then it all makes sense that, of course, half of my meditation or more is just going to be streaming with thoughts about my to-do list. What am I excited about? What am I afraid of? What about this? What about that? And each one of these thoughts flowing through is just a little tickle. It's a little pulsation of sunlight as it's entering our bodies and as we're shaping it for the gift that we want to give to the world. And so all of a sudden, what would seem like obstacles are not. But we're supposed to be uh, diving into meditation and feeling the joy, the bliss. I love your phrase of being centered in bliss, and then feeling our fear and our excitement and our whole creative process of what can I give to the world today. And so there's a kind of continuous shimmering, sparkling. Now, by just wild circumstances, I started meditating in a science lab at the University of California 55 or 6 years ago, and however long ago 1968 was. And continuing with just these improbable things, I wound up interviewing people. So here I was, just like really shy 18-year-old. I barely talked, but I would go around and interview people who were meditating in 1968 all around. I was at UC Irvine, the newest University of California campus. And it's near the beach. It's right in back of Newport Beach and Laguna Beach. So I would just ask around, well, who's really thriving in their meditation practice? So I wound up interviewing people in these hour and a half, 2 hour practice interviews where we would meditate together and chat, and I would take notes on what they experienced. And I've actually continued that for the last more than half a century. And so this is this wacky thing. I've spent much of my adult life just listening to people talk about what they experience in meditation. And these students, everybody was older than me. They taught me that what people think about in meditation is like they're all the people they love and what they're doing and what's for dinner, how am I going to make dinner? And then there'll be that flow of these practical thoughts. And then like settle deep into meditation. And then think, well, what about this person? How's my teenage daughter doing? Or how's my dog? Or my friend? Or when am I going to go on vacation? And just wondering about this and that. And then it finishes and it's so beautiful just to be here and breathe. Or it's so beautiful just to breathe, be with this mantra. So the flow of meditation is really quite rich. It's a whole universe in here. And people who thrive in meditation day after day, year after year, their primary attitude is of welcoming the whole universe of emotions.
Including fear.
Yeah.
So
Meditation
that's
is
the
like
attitudinal stance of welcoming fear instead of rejecting it.
welcoming. And so there's no failure. And this is actually can be very challenging for people who've been
Yes.
meditating in a system where they've internalized shame. For a lot of people, meditation is actually a situation of self-shaming. So, and they're so close to meditating beautifully, but to just have this thought that you're not supposed to think. So they believe there's a thought that's like one of the standard expectations. So they have one thought that says those other thoughts shouldn't be here. So they'll be meditating and have some relaxation and peace. And then a thought comes and then they attack that thought. It's like a self attack that that thought shouldn't be here, or emotion arises. And so that mistake is very widespread. And to thrive in meditation, you need to unlearn that as quickly as possible. But the so to repeat, if we can define meditation as savoring, as percolating, as diving right into the excitation of the life force, because life is a pulsation of excitation. And we get serenity by diving into this current. It's paradoxical. We get peace of mind by welcoming the flow of fear and excitement. Fear is just a form of excitement, that depth, being in the heart, and the sense of preciousness that each moment is irreplaceable. Yeah, there's wisdom there. So we can think of meditation as just I'm going to be with all that I am. I'm going to be with all my feelings. And the beautiful practices of meditation are here to let us bathe in beauty. And then that helps tolerate the intolerable aches of the heart. The yoga practices, the tantra practices, they're always reminding us that there's this wealth, there's this symphony of delight around us, and we can partake of it. So it's like if we think about our wounded places, the tantra practices, what's structured into the Radiant Sutras is all these medicines and lotions and healing music just to meet us right in the places that hurt the most, or that long to be met. Like in that bittersweet sorrow or that sweet sorrow, it's in that space we really welcome our soul. And there's also these feelings like of being stretched in the heart, these feelings of being the heart being stretched open, and longing itself feels like a kind of inner asana, where we're stretching to become more inclusive.
And that's what I love about this path, the path of Tantra, is it's the path of inclusion and intimacy. So we're getting intimate with fear. We're getting intimate with sadness, whatever emotion is alighting within us, which I heard recently, emotions are just the juicier side of thought. Thought is like the dry side, and emotions are like the juicier side. And this intimacy, the little joke, into me, you see. So it's that inner journey to feel what is there to be felt. And
Another,
something magical
yeah,
happens when we do that.
yeah. Another surprising finding is how quickly the brain works. That when we're meditating, that we might dive deep in meditation and be there for a couple of seconds or even 30 seconds, and then have a whole chain of thoughts for a couple of minutes of everything we're afraid of and excited about. And then we remember, oh, I'm meditating. Now, here's a technique. It's when you notice that you've been thinking about what you're afraid of, project planning, just in a movie of doing something, it's important to understand intellectually that that's part of meditation. And then when you notice, oh, I've been choreographing, I've been visualizing. When you notice, don't hurry back to your breath or body sensations or mantra, whatever your technique is. Linger there, savor that, and then allow your momentum to carry you to continue. This is such a tiny little difference, but you'll hear even really smart people who are dynamic people with big to-do lists. You hear them say, oh, I had all these thoughts, and then I had to drag my attention back to the breath, bring my attention back to the mantra. And just that way of phrasing things makes meditation tedious. And it's a microaggression against the self because your thoughts, your to-do list, processing fears, that's what's going on there is that your body mind system is transmuting the fear into excitement, appropriate excitement. And to consider that as mind wandering it's an insult. And so this just the thought, just the idea that there's mind wandering, that you're not supposed to be thinking, and the idea that you have to bring your attention back. This phrase people are always saying is bring my attention back. And that's an error that changes the whole feeling tone of meditation and creates a neurotic split where you're splitting, you're insulting the life force because all those thoughts are forms of excitement.
Wow, that's a game changer too. Because a lot of people, when they have that mental mindset that you were just discussing, where they're almost rejecting thought as if it's some kind of bad, intrusive thing, will
Which relates to
it's like
shame.
yes, it's like this underlying something has gone wrong, or I'm bad, or something
I'm
of that
bad.
sort, and immediately you plummet into that felt sense of shame.
Yeah. So
Or
this
like
is where shame, which is the hidden emotion, which is the feeling that I'm defective. There's something fundamentally defective about me. And then there's also a little bit of guilt because what I hear constantly from people when they're meditating, if they feel guilty about thinking. So it's a feeling of there's something wrong with me. And that is, unless that is transmuted, it slightly corrupts the meditation. And then each thought, people feel guilty about it. So it's a combination of shame and guilt. And so when I'm listening to some people describe their meditation experience, and they're just constantly saying, well, I was doing really well in meditation, like for a minute, then I had all these thoughts. So there's an overall sense of shame, and then each thought they feel guilty about. And then when I hear that, I say, you know what, it's like, give it up. Like go do something else as your meditation. Don't sit there because you've internalized a shame guilt cycle, and that's what you're doing in meditation. You're actually practicing self shame.
wow. I hope those who listen to this video can hear the gift that you just offered and how to fine tune one's meditation to not beat ourselves up and abuse ourselves in this way.
Yeah. Now, in meditation, you can have thoughts, you can witness thoughts that of self-abuse, the key is just to realize that that's not my teacher. Like, say anybody can be meditating and go, oh, I hate that I did that. Oh, I so blew it in that situation. And that you can, those thoughts will come. It just realize that that's not the teacher. That's not the meditation technique. The meditation itself is giving the body mind system permission to alchemically transmute fear, excitement, sorrow, joy, just to feel everything and let the wisdom of the body process it, digest it, transmute it, activate it. And what we're talking about here are subtle internal skills that are guiding us while we're meditating. See, the human body is flooded with electricity at all times, where the brain is about 86 billion neurons, and each one is flickering a couple hundred times a second, talking to other neurons. And so there's what's called synapses. So each neuron of these 86 billion might have 200 to 10,000 synapses. And so they're all flickering a couple hundred times a second, singing the song of life, processing like our metabolism, like if a cold wind blows in, and then we might feel our goosebumps form, or say we're out walking and we start going up a hill, and so the body automatically computes, oh, we're walking up a hill, speed up the heart rate a little bit, breathe a little faster, turn up the dials on the metabolism. And this is all happening continuously, this song of life. So in a certain way, the body, just the human body and any similar body, is thinking trillions of thoughts per second. It's just a continuous hum of intelligence. And each thought is a little tickle of electricity. And we notice a few of these thoughts. And if we look at an ant, ants are really smart. You can just watch ant behavior. Like ants, somehow if there's like a dead grasshopper, they'll make a chain of like 20 or 30 ants linked together, all tugging. So any body, even a little teeny body, is full of wisdom. Now, a mammal body like a whale, a seal, a dog, we have very intricate song of life, a symphony that nature has created. And so when we go in and we're feeling what it is to exist, there's just a continuous hum of thousands of trillions of little teeny computations about what life needs, about the magic of it all, about the joy of existing. And we'll notice just a few of these. Don't we go in, sometimes we might feel that we're having hundreds of thoughts per second, which we are. And so thoughts are not a problem. Life vibrating is not a problem. It's a thrill. And there is a lot in the teachings on meditation that's self-shaming, though. And so that needs to be unlearned. There's a judgment against thoughts, and there's just like a lurking sense of like there's something wrong with me. And it could be that in the Asian countries where people bow down a lot, that they get to flush it out of their system.
I want to circle back around to how fear is a gift and a gift of Shakti, just to add some in-depth clarity to why and how, if someone has never even had this thought before, this could be a bridge thought helping them to no longer make fear an enemy. So I noticed on our conversation when we were talking about fear, you had said something that really struck me and said, yeah, because like, when something's really important and you have skin in the game, there was a phrase you used, and something about that struck me as well. How fear, in certain kind of ways, can be like a motivating factor, like what you were saying about skin in the game. So, if you can
Yeah.
elaborate on that a little further and
This is
in
what
detail.
this is what practice is. And whether people are their practice is yoga and meditation or tantra, or it's actually playing tennis or football or piano, part of practice, even if our what we're doing is college or high school football or tennis or the stuff you see on TV, everybody's afraid. That's the thing to know, is that everybody's afraid, and we have to deal with this fear each in our own way. And if you like look at the daily schedule of people that who you see on TV, or that they spend almost all their time practicing. The amount of time that they're performing that we see on video is very small. They practice and practice and practice in order to wash the fear out of their bodies, and in order to learn to turn that fear energy into a gift. Everybody's afraid and has to develop techniques for dealing with it. And so it is really helpful to realize that this is a widespread thing, and that it's okay, like, to think of meditation. Okay, I'm going to go meditate for 20 minutes, and I'm just going to breathe a little, and I know my mind's going to wander most of the time. And that what's happening is that the wisdom of life is transmuting that fear into excitement. And like I'm welcoming the fear. But one of the functions of meditation is so that we have accurate fear, like that there's like a tingle, that we're attuned to the pulsation of the life force, so that we have all these let's go signals, like let's have fun, let's go, let's live. And then like whoop, and that we're so relaxed that, oh, there's something a little bit wrong over here. And so technically speaking, just for survival purposes, if you want to be so relaxed that if you get a fear signal, you listen to it.
I love
Uh,
that you're making this distinction, because a lot of people, they may say, well, we need fear. Well, there is a certain type of fear, like the psychological fear versus like, say a bear is coming at you, or maybe some wild animal, or a rabid dog.
exactly.
So
We
this is
need
where
fear,
fear is.
and we
Yeah.
never want to delete fear. We never want to delete fear. It's risky. What we want to have is accurate fear. We want our signals. We want signals be accurate. Um, it's like an alarm system, or car alarm. We don't want the alarm to go off unless something's happening. I used to go hunting with my father, and we went to Africa, and we're stomping around, and there's a lot of wild things happening. So I was asleep in my tent, and a rhinoceros came by and knocked over my tent on top of me, fell on top of me, and everybody woke up, and they thought it was just really funny. Like all the people that we had with us who lived in Kenya, it was just really funny. They're banging pans and stuff to make sure the rhinoceros went away. but it was just really funny. And then we came across a spitting cobra that they can, from about 10 feet away, they can spit right in your eye and kill you. They spit venom, which will blind you. And the our guide was like a snake lover, so he walked right up to it and grabbed it by the neck, and then his assistant ran up with the bag and put it in the bag as to take it back, or they milked the snake to make anti venom. And there's all sorts of things like that. And we had like 12 uh, people from Kenya with us, and there was like a tingle of excitement. So they wouldn't ever really get afraid. They would just get electrified. It's like it's fun, and then laugh, and then be totally relaxed. And we walked around like all day, and it was here and there, and it was the way to be. It was just totally relaxed, and then you hear something, see something, smell something, and then like pause and get really alert, and then go back to being relaxed. If you have fear jangling in your system, you won't have accurate senses. So, this being totally relaxed and in the flow of pleasure, so that if you feel fear, like, oh, like, that hyena over there, or like there's a herd, let's stay out of their way. That's the way to rule in nature. And there's challenges for us living in a media world, because we use devices to tell us what's happening in the world. And they're so beautiful, our phones and computers, that we make up our map of the world based on somebody else reporting and making a video. And but it's very intriguing, but it's actually not our real world. The Our real world is what we experience with our direct senses. Many people I know are afraid of the wrong things. Like they're upset because they hear a story from the other side of the world, but that story is created to get YouTube views. It's created to make money. And this is interesting because like you're experiencing with the fear of entering your next stage of life and doing your own podcast, there's a fear of doing our creativity, of say starting a business or teaching or becoming a mentor or a coach or starting a garden or whatever it is, or getting married. There's the fear about our true path and what are the obstacles to be dealt with, and the converting my realistic fear into excitement, that's appropriate level of being energized and geared up to do my job. And our electronic world, which is so wonderful. I mean, it's so amazing. We can say, hey, and I won't say it because devices would answer, hey, play me this song or any poem or any bit of music in the world, or quote the world's greatest poetry to me. We have like the whole wealth of human culture available to us, but the airwaves are being flooded with the worst junk information. And these devices are in our pockets and purses, and they vibrate. They're always calling for attention. And the food, the info food that we get, that's just being shoved at us, it's like being in a bar where there's popcorn, free beer. No, there's free popcorn or free, what are those, like rancid peanuts with a lot of salt that make you thirsty. The reason it's free is to make you thirsty. And
That's awesome.
let's make up a practice. So
Yeah,
it's
let's do it.
it feels like we need to realize, it's helpful to realize that the first few minutes of meditation, it's just letting my brain and my senses come into reality, shifting
Yes.
from the stories that the internet thinks I should be obsessed with. Because the word viral is very good, that something has gone viral. But they're they're admitting that they're creating mind viruses that will ensnare our attention. And that's fair. That's just what predators do. And so when we want to meditate and to be with ourselves, we might notice that it takes a few minutes to let our attention shift from the way that we are when we're browsing on our phones to, oh, being in my body, being in my senses, and just allow a couple minutes for that, realizing that there might be like a static, a fuzz, and don't give up on yourself. Just realize, oh, it'll just take a while to reorient and find the the pleasure in existence.
I noticed a lot of times you were using the word electricity, and I think it might be a synonym for prana shakti. And I
It
just want to
is,
circle back around to bring that to our listeners' attention that wow, this thrill of
yeah,
aliveness of what we are, what Shakti is,
what
it's
Shakti
it's
is.
it's almost what makes meditation thrilling.
What makes
I mean,
meditation
meditation can
thrilling?
be a joy. Okay, so now Lauren is going to be reading from his Radiance Sutras. Take it away, Lauren.
Yeah. So, yeah, this is the text that I met in 1968, and I just fell in love.
Just
It's the
love it.
Vijnana Bhairava Tantra. So, the text presents 112 different doorways to ecstasy, into contact with our own life essence: breathing, music, dancing, music, sex, food, eating, being in nature, entering all of the emotions. So here's one. This is what they call Sutra 44.
Oh, 44.
So each of the techniques is presented in 32 syllables. So it's Sanskrit comes
Look at
in
that.
Sanskrit, coded Sanskrit, where each word has many meanings. It sounds something like this: Sarva Shrota Nibandhena Prana Shakti Urdvaya Shane Pipila Sparsa Valayam Prathate Paramam Sukham. Sarva is everywhere, and Shrota is rivers flowing,
Feel
like
it.
the veins, the nerves. Sarva Shrota. Prana Shakti is the power of life, the life force that's always singing and flowing and nourishing us.
Yes.
So in English, we could say rivers of power flowing everywhere,
Mm.
fields of magnetism relating everything. This is your origin. This is your lineage. The current of creation is right here, coursing through the subtle channels of this very body, animating this form, animating your form, follow the gentle touch of life, as soft as the footprint of an ant, as tiny sensations open to vastness. Power sings as it flows, electrifies the organs of sensing, becomes liquid light, nourishes your entire being. Celebrate the boundary where streams join the sea, where body meets infinity. Sarva Shrota Nibbana Prana Shakti Bodhvaya. Rivers of power flowing everywhere in the body and around the body, from the sun to the earth, all around the earth, from the earth into our body, around in our body, coming to touch us through all of our senses, seeing, hearing, feeling, smelling, tasting, moving. And all of the senses, of which we have dozens, are continually drinking in the energies of creation. When we look at the night sky, our eyes are actually being touched by wave impulses and photons that left a distant sun millions of years ago. And that light is entering the eyes and nourishing us. We're being touched by a distant sun, by the life of a distant sun, and it is feeding us, even when we're gazing at the nighttime sky. The whole universe is touching us. And then the daytime, the light of the sun, and continuously the pulsation of breath, which is powered by the sun. It's feeding us and informing us. So when we are sensing this flow and pulsation and rhythm of breathing, we're dancing with the breath. There's the touch. There's a touch of the air as it flows in. And so there's a sensors, the skin of the tip of the nose, and then the delicate membranes inside the nose we can feel, and then up inside the sinuses, down the throat, down into the body. So we have sensors that feel pulsation, the expansion and contraction of the rib cage. We have a sense of hunger for air and a sense of fullness, like the fullness of the inhale and emptiness. So we have fullness, satisfaction sense of getting enough air, hunger for air, and we have hunger for food sensors, which could be of blood sugar sensing, that we sense, oh, I'm running low on fuel, I need to eat. So that's a sense, probably sensors in our blood that let us know of a blood sugar level. We have thirst, which is a discrete sense of hydration, sensing hydration levels in the body. We have balance. And so when we're meditating, when we approach meditation, one beautiful practice that we can do every day for a few seconds or a few minutes is a salute to the senses. And each sense is detecting and singing about the rivers of power flowing through the body. So vision is the name we give to the sense of the wave motion of light. I'm sensing the wave motion and the particles of light that are coming in to touch me. Vision. Hearing whatever we're hearing, waterfalls, the wind, people's voices, music. Wind is the body responding to waves in the air or in a solid, something like you can feel sound vibrating substances, vibrating our bones. So hearing is our body responding to the wave motion in a medium such as air or water, and something touching us directly. Smell is mysterious. It might be detecting the electrical charge on the surface of molecules. And smell is most of taste, they say, 80% or more. So with smell and taste, we're responding to the substances entering the body, cherishing them. And then a part of taste and smell and eating, there's the temperature. There's a temperature of whatever the liquid or food is as it touches the lips. And then the mouth feel, the way that whatever it is, the liquid, the solid food, interacts with the tongue and the roof of the mouth. And then the feeling as the food enters the body and becomes part of the body. So our appetite sensors, hunger, work in coordination with smell and taste and touch, and temperature is a discrete sense. It's its own sense. So if we make up a salute to the senses, let's say play with a 1 minute practice, a 1 minute practice that'll enrich your yoga, your meditation, would be, I embrace the world of vision. I give thanks for light. And simply embrace the visual field, especially peripheral vision. But take a few seconds to delight in peripheral vision, which we can usually see almost straight out from our shoulders and above and below. And this enriches meditation because if we close our eyes, the feeling of spaciousness carries over. So vision and hearing, smelling, tasting, temperature, movement, the sense of motion, which is a dozen senses. We can sense joint position, tendon stretch, muscle stretch, balance, what we call balance. It's many senses. It integrates sensors from everywhere in the body, including the soles of our feet. And balance is a relationship with gravity. So simply balancing, honoring, and being grateful for this exquisite sense that's always here quietly, usually balancing. And as we appreciate balance, this gives us the gift of enjoying movement more during meditation and feeling that even tiny motions are ecstatic. We can actually think of meditation as exquisite, subtle motion rather than sitting still. Again, like vision, you can pick your own order, like vision, balance, motion, spatial sensing, subtle magnetic prana sensing. We for sure have prana sensors, which are not yet known to science. We have a sense of joint position where every finger, toe, ankle, arm, leg, the head, we have a sense continuously, a symphony of sensing of where every part of the body is in relationship to every other part. And that relationship with the earth, gravitational sensing. So this is a way to enrich your daily meditation practice. And sometimes I'll take this and make it my whole meditation. And you can improvise your own movement flow, either take from yoga or qigong or tai chi. You could also study the way people talk with their hands, because we all talk with our hands just in an ordinary conversation. So it's really useful for most of us to include movement. It's informal, casual gestures, as if we're defining meditation as I'm being in conversation with prana Shakti. And I'm day by day, I'm learning to be more in love with prana Shakti, the dance of prana Shakti in my body. Seeing, balancing, touching, hearing, tasting, smelling, temperature, sensing prana or ki, sensing magnetism, sensing gravitation. Either a few seconds or a few minutes of this is something I find is just always enriching. It always blesses my day, whether I'm going to meditate next or go and work or play. In Sanskrit, in both the Yoga Sutra of Patanjali and in the Vijnana Bhairava Tantra, one of the words used for the senses is Indriya, which means that the companions of Indra or the beloved of Indra. So the senses are cherished in Tantra because they're the rivers flowing from the divine to touch our consciousness. The senses are how the song of the universe flows into our bodies and becomes our inner song. So have fun.
Oh, Lauren, that was a gorgeous meditation. Hope everyone sensed how delightful it can be and all the different senses we can use while we're meditating.
Yeah.
Salute to the senses.
So
All right. So as we wrap this time up together, Lorin Roche, Ph.D., I just want to say a big thank you, deep gratitude for joining me on the first of hopefully many in the series as we dive deep into the Radiant Sutras and other teachings in the Tantra, the world of Tantra. Now, I want to let everyone who's listening know about a very awesome upcoming adventure you may want to embark on. And it's the School of Meditation, the Radiant School of
Yeah.
Meditation.
So
Lorin, Roche,
Camille,
and
Camille, come
Camille.
on
Oh, maybe
over.
Camille's going to tell us a little bit
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah. So
Starting
yeah.
very
So
soon.
come on by. So I've been teaching meditation for
Hi, Camille. Good to see your
about
lovely face.
about 55 years. And Camille and I have been teaching together for 40 some years. And then our joy, what we love to do now is training meditation teachers. And what we train you in is the most delicious techniques that we've learned over half a century. And these are time tested, scientifically verified, and verified in our experience. And just come learn, come for your own experience. It's a good way to develop your own personal practice, and come because it might come in really handy someday. When you begin meditating, it often happens that people will just start asking you to teach them. So it's a beautiful training. The For us, the techniques of meditation, the skills that are the same as the skills of intimacy.
Call it a path of intimacy, first within ourselves, and then that way that we're intimate with the larger field of life, of nature, of the universe, and that deep instinctive wisdom.
I just grabbed Camille because she was walking by. It was completely unplanned.
True.
So we got to go. Thank you so much, Sana.
Yeah.
And everybody else.
Real quick before you go, give them all your websites and your information so they can connect with you. There are those who may want to be meditation teachers or coaches, or just want that wonderful experience for their own selves of diving deep within via the School of Meditation. Just
Probably the easiest and simplest is meditationtt.com. It's a beautiful community, and I look forward to being with you one way or the other.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Signing off. It's been a joy.